Hello everybody, this is Joseph Habdank from Orgnet coming up with yet another tutorial about how professionals program, how professionals arrange their code, how professionals create databases, giving you some basic and some really useful tips how to utilize your skills that you already have, the JQuery, ASP.NET, JSON, MsSql, and whatever else, how to utilize the skills that you already have and make them exponentially thousandfold better. Because knowing certain languages doesn't make you a good programmer. Good programming habits make you a good programmer. And I'm sharing with you some of these good programming habits so that you can utilize your skills that you already have and make them a million times better. Now, let's have a database that we already have done before. In this particular tutorial, I'll be talking about visibility, how to handle visibility and permissions, because you can do it good or you can do it really bad. Let's have a look at first old school, 90s kindergarten type of visibility handling, when basically add is published field, which is bit. Like, this is the most horrific way of handling permissions that you can possibly have, trust me. Then in this way you would basically have a bit field which is true or false, saying if this article is published or not, which is basically, and if it's not published then it's only visible maybe for the administrators, and if it's published then it's visible for everybody, for guests as well. This is the most horrible way of doing that. It's the simplest thing that comes to your mind, but trust me, it's bad. There is basically code repetition here, rigidity, not enough flexibility, no expandability, horrible. The other option is to have, let's say, visibility type ID, which would basically, you would have some sort of table of visibility type, and there will be some sort of, let's say, administrator, member, and guest types, and then each of these would relate to one of these visibilities, saying who can access what. This is a standard way as well of doing that. That's what old school systems used to have, and this is slightly better but very bad as well. Why? Because it forces cascading visibility, meaning administrators have more permissions than members, or let's say moderators, and then moderators have more permissions than members, and members have more permissions than guests, and it forces this cascading manner, which might seem right. Well, administrators should have more permissions than members or than guests, yes, but not necessarily. You will be surprised how often this is a bad idea. So slightly better design than this is actually to take this field and move it up, because obviously you would have user and file and anything else having visibility or some sort of permission type. It is slightly better, but still it doesn't solve the problem. It solves the problem of code repetition, but doesn't solve the problem of limited flexibility. What you want to do is you want to sorry for that, a little bit of cold winter. What you want to do, you want to have as much flexibility as possible, and this can be done by revamping your thinking about visibility or permissions into an entirely new dimension. What you want to do, you want to think of permissions not as a cascading structure that a user with better visibility permissions has more access. This is old school thinking. It doesn't work. It's bad. What you want to do is that you want to think of permissions as tags. Certain tags that you attach to article or to file or to YouTube video or to some sort of anything or to user. But let's focus on, before we focus on users, we focus first on articles, for example. So what you want to do, you want to have groups. For example, you would have a tag called paid member, and you would have a tag called bought book, about awesome ASP programming practices. Now, these two tags don't have to overlap. None of them is better or worse. They're just tags defining if a certain user can access this article. So what we want to do, and certain article can be viewed, of course, by multiple groups. A certain article could belong to awesome kick-ass paid ASP.NET tutorials, and in another paid member. The same article could be viewed by both groups. So what you want to do, you want to have a many-to-many relation, which basically tells you, which basically makes sure that you can add as many visibility tags into your object. In this manner, what is happening right now is that we have certain visibilities. Each of them is just like a tag: admin, guest, paid member, bot, the awesome tutorials, or whatever else, or bot something else, or whatever you want, or affiliates, member. You have certain tags, and these tags, multiple of them, many of them, can be attached through a visibility map, which basically just is a mapper. It's an empty table, you could think of it. I'm gonna actually shrink it to make it smaller because it's just a mapper, so there's practically no purpose of looking at the types there. In one tutorial I'll talk about why I actually keep the ID in the mappers, which there are bad things about it and good things about it. It's true, but what we're doing right now is we are attaching multiple tags into the article object. So let's say paid member tag. In this case, this article will be able to be viewed only by users that have the tag paid member. Now notice, if a user is an administrator, meaning it has a tag called administrator, it's not gonna be able to view the article called just as a tag paid member, because we don't keep it as a hierarchy. We keep it as tags, which is very important. You'll be so surprised how important it is. So basically, to vast majority of your objects, you want to add a tag admin right away, because pretty much everything should be able to be viewed by admin. But you'll be surprised, sometimes you want to have an exceptions from that, and that saves you. If you had a hierarchical thing, you wouldn't have this possibility to hide certain things from admin. Everything would be visible by admin by default. So what we do, we basically have this article which is supposed to be only viewed by paid members, but obviously admin is a top admin. He should see things. So then we basically have here paid member tag, and we have admin tag, and we attach these two tags to the article. Now, why this design is beautiful, I'll say you in a second. Because a user will have multiple tags as well. A user could be a guest, a user could be a member, a user could be an admin, but notice an admin usually would be all three. An admin would have permission to see guest articles. An admin would have a possibility to view member articles. An admin would have a possibility to view admin articles. So an admin user, a true admin user, sorry for that, a true admin user would have a possibility to view all three types. So it would have 3 tags attached to it. Now, why this is beautiful? Because the SQL that allows you to get all the articles that are allowed to be viewed by a certain user is super simple. Since you have no hierarchy, you have no comparisons, nothing. What you're gonna do is super simple. You're gonna join the user with DB object, then you're gonna join the DB object with visibility map, and that way you will have access to all the tags of certain user. Now what you're gonna do, you're gonna join it back to the DB object and to the article. In that way, and then of course say this thing, because otherwise you would have duplicates. And then you return the article. What is going on there? You're basically checking if you have a user ID, certain user ID, you're gonna check, give me all articles that have at least one tag the same as I do. For example, this article could be member only, and the user could be admin, member, and guest. All three tags to it attached. Then you're gonna get all the articles. You're gonna get articles that have guest, you're gonna get articles that have member, and you're gonna get articles that are admin. It's a simple join. It's gonna join like here, 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 and then back again here. Well, there is a couple of joins, that's true, there's a long join, but it's a simple join. There's no ifs, there's no where, there's nothing. It's a straightforward, dumb logic, and what's good about it, it's gonna work for every single user. You'll have the same query returning you all the articles, regardless if this is administrator, if it's a member, if it's a guest, or whoever else. You avoid code repetition. You have only one query to no matter who you are, and logged in as no matter who, you always run the same query and bam, you get the articles that you're allowed to see, which is unbelievably important because you don't want to later on to have code repetition. So what you're gonna just user with this and back again, and no matter what kind of user this is, whoever he is, you're gonna basically get all articles that have at least one tag the same as he. Now, I'm not sure if you understand how powerful this is, but if you're a good programmer and if you actually understand this, you should have chills on your back right now, because this is gonna simplify your code enormously. I mean, you can't even imagine how good this stuff is. Now, many people ask me, why would you have a guest visibility type? Basically, why wouldn't you just say that all articles that have no tags, or like basically that everybody is a guest? Why would you have the guest visibility type? Because if you actually look at this table, visibility, I have notice naming convention. I have visibility type administrator and guest, and maybe there'll be more like member or whatever else. And this actually would be dynamically added because you can add products and stuff like that. You could have hundreds of stuff here. You could have like book 1, book 2, book 3, book 5, book 10, and you can dynamically add them. It can actually be your product list as well at the same time. This visibility type table. Why do you add guest? Now, the reason why I do it is because it allows you to unpublish, or actually you could think delete, things from a database without actually deleting them. What I personally do, I don't like to delete things from the database. So if somebody deletes something, I don't actually delete it. I don't delete the article. I actually keep it. Why not? Unless it's like a big 100 megabytes file, you know? Why I wouldn't keep it? I can keep it for the sake of just having it in the database. So I don't delete it. When I delete an article, I basically remove all of its tags. In that way, nobody can see it. Not guest, not admin, nobody, none. Nobody can see this article, so effectively it is deleted. But I don't actually delete it. In that way, I can always later preview it. What was it? Why is it removed or something like that? And that's why I have to have this guest visibility, because what I do is basically the person who has no permissions, is not logged in yet, this person is allowed to view the guest articles. So I guess this is it. Maybe I'll expand it even more, but I hope I explained it pretty well so far. As I said, this approach that I have shown you so far is extremely robust. Extremely robust, because it allows you to use one SQL query for every single type of user, every single type of permissions, every single type of visibilities. You have only one query which will return you always what you're allowed to see, no matter if you're admin, member, if you bought 20 products or you bought only one product, or if you bought nothing, if you're not logged in, whatever else. You have one SQL that will get you always what you want. No code repetition, very flexible and extendable design, beautiful. Like, I mean, when I came up with this one first time many months, or actually years maybe ago, I was like, wow, this is really smart. So guys, now I wish you all the best. keep it, keep your code smart and wise. Always think about ways to make your code professional, meaning having good approach to code, not just smart way of looking at the way of utilizing your skills. So now, guys, you know how to make professional visibility and professional permissions handling in your websites. Take care, have an awesome day, and see you next time in some next tutorial. Bye bye.